Alright guys, welcome to your 40th PHP tutorial, and this tutorial is going to be on something called constructors. Now, what a constructor is, it's a special function that gets called automatically whenever you first create an object. Sounds confusing? Well, trust me, it isn't. So let's go ahead and create a class. I'm going to name mine Bucky, and let's go ahead and create our special constructor right now. Anytime you create a constructor, it's the exact same as creating another normal function inside your class. It just has a special name. So public, definitely spelled that wrong, function, and instead of just naming anything you want, you have to name it this: underscore underscore construct, and I definitely spelled that wrong, struct. I should definitely take a spelling class. Alright, now let's go ahead and put your empty parameters and your body. So like I said, you don't need to call this function explicitly when you're coding in PHP. As soon as you create any object from this class, this constructor is going to get called. So in that way, it's a little bit different than another function. So let's go ahead and put some coding in here. Let's just echo out you never called me. Come on. There we go. I knew how to get it eventually. So, well, I guess that's really all we can do with that constructor for now. I mean, we could have added some more code, but I really am way too lazy to do that. So anyways, like I said, this special function, which we call a constructor, automatically gets called whenever we create an object. So let's go ahead and make some object right now and set it equal to new Bucky, and looks pretty good. And check this out. You know how we would have to, if we wanted to use any function in this class, go ahead and use some object and yada yada, call the function like that. Well, in this case, we don't need to do any of that. As soon as we create this object, it's going to say, alright, what class did you create this object from? You created it from Bucky. So I'm going to go up to the Bucky class, and I'm going to look if there's a special function named underscore underscore construct in here. If there is, then I'm going to run automatically right now whatever you told me to in that constructor. If there's not any function at all in here called construct, then I'm just going to, do nothing at all. So let's go ahead and save this and see what we got. Let me go ahead and refresh. A little bit of this, a little bit of column A, column B, and check this out. You never called me. So now you can see, instead of having to explicitly call this little bit of code in construct, it gets pretty much called automatically. So that is what a constructor is. And by the way, let me just add this little note. In this example I'm showing you right here, it's pretty much useless because, I mean, why couldn't we just create another function? And if you're going to say that, then why couldn't we just write echo right in the body instead of just having to go through a class at all? Well, actually, whenever you're working with classes, the constructor is useful for maybe you want to initialize some variables, or maybe you want to call some other methods automatically. Well, in this case, I know that it's not really useful, but whenever we are actually programming real programs, and I'm not just showing you guys an example, you'll see how it's useful. And anyways, enough of that. Let me go ahead and show you guys one little thing that you may be wondering. You may be wondering, alright, why do you have parameters after the class name? The parameters after the class name, whenever you create a new object, are for the constructor. A constructor, as you can see, like I said, is just like a normal function, except that it gets called automatically whenever you create an object. So, knowing that, you know that you can pass parameters to your constructor just like you can any other normal function. So let's go ahead and pass our constructor a parameter right now. We'll pass it x and say you never called me x, and then whenever we create our object, and we'll pass in something like Sarah, or I kinda like that, Sarah with no H. Anyways, we'll go ahead and pass in the name Sarah to our constructor, and that's what these parameters are for right here, your constructor. So then it's going to say, alright, you never called me Sarah. So, oops, almost forgot to save that. And let's go ahead, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of behind the scenes, and check this out. You never called me Sarah, or is it you never called me Love Sarah? I don't know, depending if you want to make this program to send me, or we're going to send this to Sarah. It's up to you. Just follow your heart. So anyways, that is why you see those parameters after the class name. Those are for your constructor if your constructor takes a parameter. So now I know you guys, that was probably bothering you, what those parameters mean. So you're saying, alright Bucky, so I know everything there is to know about a constructor. Well, yes you do. So now I can teach you guys about a deconstructor. Now check this out. Way back when in PHP 4, programmers said, alright, now that you have a constructor, that's all nice and all, but we want to add something else. We want to add something called a deconstructor. And this gets called when the PHP script is complete and you no longer need your object and your object gets destroyed. Well, right before it gets destroyed, your PHP code is going to look for something called a deconstructor in your class, and if you have one, this is the code that gets ran right before your script completes and right before your object gets deleted. Now let me tell you guys this. In this code is where you mostly do any of your cleanup. Like in other programming languages, you might clean up the memory or you might delete some files. Well, it's not as common in PHP as in other programming languages, but I'm going to show it to you guys anyways because, you know, I just can't skip over information. So let's go ahead and name public function underscore underscore destruct, destruct. So it's not going to take any parameters, and all it's going to do is echo, you know, destruction or something like that. So anyways, down here in our object, we don't need to do anything different because this object is going to get created, and then right after it gets created, it's going to say, alright, your script is complete, you no longer need this object, so I'm automatically going to destroy this object. But before I destroy it, I'm going to go in your class to see where the object was created from and see if there's a special function called destruct. And if there is, I'm going to call it right now. So let's go ahead and save this, and a little bit of this. Yes, and check this out. You never called me Sarah, and then your script is completed, so it's going to look for that special function called destruct, and it's going to run whatever code is in there. And like I said, your deconstructor is really useful in other programming languages where you need to clean up memory or delete files. It's not as useful in PHP, but you need to have it there. And I mean, I really never even built a program where I used a deconstructor. I just, any code I needed to run, I just ran it before, you know, I completed everything. But anyways, I need to show you guys this because it's a part of PHP that you need to understand, and if you ever come across it, you won't be like, whoa, what the heck is this? So anyways, my point, a deconstructor is not as popular as constructors, but it does exist, so now you guys know it. If you never use it again, sorry for wasting your time. You can send me some hate mail if you would like. So anyways, that's all I have for you guys for this tutorial. What a constructor is, how you can pass it a parameter, and what this useless deconstructor is. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I know in this example, just like most of my examples, I'm just covering the basics. This isn't really a useful program we built unless you really hated a girl named Sarah. But anyways, in the upcoming programming programs, I guess, programming programs, that's a nice little name, you can see why this would be useful. But anyways, for now, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll smell you guys later.